Welcome to Science Lab. The signs are happening because Jesus is coming.
Every day we are looking at some of the great signs that are happening around us. And in this episode, we are going to see some of the strange signs that are taking place in the sky.
UFOs are real. A spokesman for the United States Navy confirmed so in September 2019. In part, this was done to quell the controversy begun in December 2017, when the New York Times and the Stars Academy of Arts and Science released 2 of 3 Navy F-18 gun camera videos for public viewing.
The video shows Navy pilots encountering strange globular objects that move through the air in ways that mystify experts. When looking at the video, nearly everyone exclaims, "What are those things?" Flight engineers easily recognize that these things defy the known laws of physics.
While this is a significant admission on the part of a U.S. government agency, recognize the U.S. Navy is not making any definitive statements about extraterrestrial life, nor is it stating that little green men or other weird-looking alien beings have recently visited planet Earth, hence a name change. The Navy doesn't want to call these things UFOs anymore. According to Navy officials, these difficult-to-explain flying objects, new moniker should be Unidentified Aerial Phenomena, UAP. In other words, the U.S. Department of the Navy is concerned enough about what it has observed and can't explain. It would have rather kept it a secret. To the Navy, it's a matter of defending Americans from a potentially more powerful enemy. After the leak and growing controversy over the Navy tapes, UFO enthusiasts started an internet campaign in June 2019 called Storm Area 51, with nearly 2 million people pledging to break into Area 51, part of an Air Force base in southern Nevada, while supposedly the government is warehousing crashed UFOs and possibly aliens. The event, also called Raid Area 51, was scheduled to take place on September 20th, 2019. On the day of the event, only about 150 people appeared at the gate, but no one stormed the gate. Belief in UFOs, extraterrestrials, and the US government cover-up is not a joke for many Americans. A recent Gallup poll reveals that not all of the UFO and alien life enthusiasts are eccentrics hanging out on the fringe of society. While the majority of the Americans are skeptical about UFOs and the aliens visiting Earth, a surprising number are not. On September 6, 2019, Gallup published findings that show 33% of US adults believe that some UFO sightings over the years have been alien spacecraft visiting Earth from other planets or galaxies. In addition, 49% of Americans think that people like ourselves exist elsewhere in the universe. Even more Americans, 75% to be exact, believe that some form of life exists on other planets. So Storm Area 51 was not really a joke. A large number of highly intelligent scientists believe that there is a real possibility that there are advanced civilizations out there, meaning somewhere in the vast unexplored universe. Multiple millions of dollars, man-hours, and time have been invested in finding extraterrestrials. National Geographic's March 2019 issue featured a 32-page spread titled, "Who's Out There?" On the cover is a beautiful picture of our Milky Way galaxy and one of the 64 antennas of Meerkat, a super-sensitive telescope that scans the sky for radio signals. Just above the telescope are the words printed on the cover in capital letters, "We are not alone." This definitive statement reflects not only the belief of a well-respected magazine, but thousands of scientists around the world who are diligently searching for extraterrestrials. New discoveries reveal it's almost certain we are not alone in the universe, stated the article's quip. The article is worth reading because it gives us a look at the recent history of a magnificent technology invented to help us see further into the universe. The goal and hope of all this technological development is to contact other beings like ourselves or any other benevolent, advanced alien civilization. The new game plan, in addition to listening to radio signals to make contact out there, is a driving urgency to find exoplanets, which are basically all the planets in the universe except the ones you already know about revolving around our sun. To help scientists locate Earth-sized planets that are circling a star's habitable zone, the Kepler Space Telescope was launched in March 2009. Kepler's mission was to see how many planets it could find orbiting some 150,000 stars in one tiny patch of the sky, about as much as you can cover with your hand with your arm outstretched. 4,000 exoplanets have been confirmed. What Kepler helped reveal is amazing. Kepler's answer was unequivocal. There are more planets than there are stars, and at least a quarter are the Earth-sized planets in the star's so-called habitable zone, where conditions are neither too hot or too cold for life. With a minimum of 100 billion stars in the Milky Way, that means there are at least 25 billion places where life could conceivably take hold in our galaxy alone, and our galaxy is one among trillions. Think about this fact. This means that there is an awful lot of potentially livable real estate out there. It's changed the way we approach one of the great mysteries of existence. The question is no longer, is there life beyond Earth? It's a pretty sure bet there is.
So far, we saw some of strange signs that are taking place in the sky. Don't go anywhere. Let's meet after a short break. Welcome back to Science Lab. The signs are happening because Jesus is coming. Before the break, we saw some of the strange signs that are taking place in the sky. Now let's continue. Mankind's desperation to find others in the universe is leading to the creation of newer and more powerful telescopes, which will far exceed the power of Hubble Space Telescope or Kepler. The Transiting Exoplanet Survey satellite was launched in 2018.
TESS is scanning the entire sky with the goal of finding 50 exoplanets with rocky surfaces like Earth's that could be investigated by even more powerful telescopes coming online. NASA hopes to launch the James Webb Space Telescope in 2021, the first of a new series of extremely powerful telescopes. However, what is the likelihood we'll make contact?
As we inevitably find more and more exoplanets where intelligent life can exist, why have we found no evidence, no signals, no radio waves that intelligent life does exist?
That day, the US Navy issued a warning of an imminent attack, and in the evening bright light, what looked like flares were observed in the skies over LA. A total blackout was ordered, and at 2:25 a.m. on the 25th, air raid sirens were sounded. And an hour later, a Coast Guard artillery regiment began firing 50 caliber machine guns and anti-aircraft shells at the lights swarming above. This went on for another hour, damaging several buildings and vehicles, and 5 citizens died as an indirect result of the action, 3 in car accidents and 2 from heart attacks. The following morning, the US Department of Defense called the whole thing as a false alarm triggered by a wandering weather balloon and exacerbated by war nerves. But the footage captured appears to clearly depict airborne craft with searchlights. and many remain unconvinced of the official story decades later. Number 4. From late 1989 until mid-1990s, a series of dozens of sightings of flat, low-flying, triangular-shaped craft were spotted across the country of Belgium. No video or photographic evidence was ever produced, but one incident which occurred in the late March was documented. By the Belgian Air Force on the night of March 30th, two F-16s were scrambled to intercept an object which had been picked up on radar. While they were not able to obtain visual confirmation of their target or a second one, which popped out on a radar shortly after the jets took flight, they were able to briefly lock onto them with their radar. They attempted to intercept no fewer more than 9 separate times, but the objects seemed to vanish and reappeared in different locations. After a couple of hours of this, the pilots simply gave up and returned back to base. Hundreds of people would later come forward to say that they had observed the phenomena from the ground. And while skeptic points out that the incident has all the hallmark of a mass delusion event, those who were there remain convinced that Belgium was the subject of intense extraterrestrial scrutiny for these few months. Number 3. In 2013, a Boy Scout, Alan Burkle, was camping with his troop near the Catalina Channel when he and everyone else present witnessed an amazing phenomenon. Not just one UFO, but hundreds of them performing aerial maneuvers over the sea, which would have been impossible for any known aircraft to execute, including driving under the water and resurfacing again. Burkle spoke about his experience with noted UFO researcher Preston Dina, the author of 17 books on the subject and the specialist in USOs, or unidentified submerged objects. The boy was able to sketch 8 different types of craft he had seen and described them as looking as though they were made out of glass. For his part, Dina was fascinated as he remembered an extremely similar incident which had taken place near Tobago Canyon in the 1990s. Within viewing distance of the 2013 incident, Dina speculated that the area may be a kind of a parking lot for the UFOs or an underwater base, and whatever it is, it's apparently been there for decades. Number 2. On January 12, 2007, 2 Royal Air Force pilots attempted to engage what one of them described as looking like a big rock floating in a stationary position at about 17,000 feet, which are not something rocks are typically known to do. There is no video of the incident, but the radio transmission between the 2 pilots describe a confounding situation, in which once again the object seems to instantly teleport itself to another location every time one of them starts to get near it. Throughout their pursuit, the object remains nearly stationary when not teleporting itself around. But not always, as one pilot exclaims excitedly, but it just flew right over. They were repeatedly engaged as the object visually, but are utterly unable to even venture a guess as to what it might be. Eventually, they lost visual and radar locks on the object and are forced to give up the pursuit. It's among the more intriguing documented incident of military contact with a flying object that doesn't want to see to obey the law of physics, but no plausible explanation has been offered to this day. Number 1. In January 2008, residents of the rural Texas town of Stephenville were treated to an unusual sight. It began with a few white lights hovering over Highway 67, which suddenly became a multitude, flying in a perfectly straight parallel lines. Local pilot Stephen Allen took to the sky to investigate the phenomenon and returned with an estimation that the formation was about a mile in length, moving upward 3,000 miles per hour. UFO investigators descended on the tiny town, where residents all described the same tiny bright lights in perfect formation, flying so fast that they couldn't even be tracked with monoculars. After initially denying that there had been exercise in the area, the Air Force stated that actually it had been conducting maneuvers that night with 10 F-16 Falcons. But this utterly failed to convince the citizens of Stephenville, who insist that the objects they saw that night numbered way more than 10 and possessed capabilities far beyond any aircraft known to man. Allen, the pilot, said, "I don't know if it was a biblical experience or somebody from a different universe or whatever, but it was definitely not from around these parts."
Many people want to search for aliens in the hope that they can save us from blowing ourselves off the planet.
We live in terrifying times. Satan and his demons are pushing madmen to ignite the destruction of all humanity. It is time we wake up and turn back to a firm belief in a great creator God. There are no extraterrestrials out there to come and save us from genocides.
All this shows that what is mentioned in the Bible that are going to take place in the end times are taking place in our lifetime. We are living in the last days and the Lord Jesus Christ is coming again very soon. Thank you for watching this episode and don't forget to tune into the Science Lab next time.
Before we end the show, we would like to ask you a question from this episode. Which powerful telescope NASA hopes to launch in 2021? And the options are Option A, Hubble Space Telescope. Option B, James Webb Space Telescope. Option C, Transiting Exoplanet Survey Satellite.
If you know the correct answer, send it to our email ID sciencelab@angeltv.org. If you have missed any of the episodes, don't worry, you can watch it again and again in our Science Lab YouTube page. But don't forget to like, share and comment on the video.
Ask your friends and relatives to watch the Science Lab so that they will know that we are living in the last days. Remember, signs are happening because Jesus is coming.
Maranatha.